Brooklyn Center has a grand vision of creating a new downtown, with new recreation, restaurants, and housing options. On Thursday night, the Brooklyn Center Planning Commission hosted a special work session on the city's so-called Opportunity Site. It's 81 acres of land bounded by Shingle Creek Parkway, Bass Lake Road, Highway 100, and Summit Drive North. About 35 acres of that land the city owns. The city has targeted the site for redevelopment for almost 20 years now. Brooklyn Center officials see it as a place to create a new town center surrounded by new neighborhoods.
A new downtown area with retail, some destination, recreation opportunities, some amenities, services, entertainment, restaurants, and some housing options, really diversifying the city's housing stock, creating some open space, and really creating some points of pride for the community.
The city hopes to have a master plan in place by the end of this year or early next year. After that, a 9-month-long environmental review process would begin. It means we could see long-awaited development proposals reach the city council by next year. Authorities have now identified the victim of a Brooklyn Park homicide case. The county medical examiner says 42-year-old Vernice Abrams of Watertown, Minnesota, died after she was shot in the stomach. The incident happened last week in the parking lot of Gold Key Mall near Zane Avenue and Brookdale Drive. Police called the case particularly concerning given that it happened in broad daylight. 31-year-old James Hill of Minneapolis was charged with second-degree murder. Police say he stole a purse after shooting the woman and escaped with the help of 2 other suspects. The city of Crystal wants to hear from residents on how they feel about the city and their neighborhoods. Officials are conducting a survey to get input on public safety services, street maintenance, snow removal, and overall quality of services. You can go to the city's website to complete the 11-question survey. What's next for the Maple Grove Community Center? Residents got to weigh in Thursday night at an open house. The facility serves about 40,000 more people now than it did when the city built the community center back in 1997. As Maple Grove looks at renovating the building, they hired an architectural firm to determine what residents would like to see at the community center. A representative says right now it's a blank slate.
There's been absolutely nothing that's been decided. Nothing is predetermined. This is grassroots. One of the very first steps in finding out how the users of the building and the citizens of Maple Grove feel about their community center.
Some of the ideas talked about at the open house included increased space for a senior center or a possible new rink for curling. The Labor Day weekend is shaping up to be picture perfect. And if you're planning on going out to the State Fair, you'll find lots of perfect pictures in the Fine Arts Building. Neil Persley gives us a glimpse in today's Weekend Showcase.
The 2019 State Fair is here again, and the Fine Arts Building does not disappoint. One little challenge I have for you: walk around the building, look at all the works, and see how many you can find from artists in your home city.
In the building, we have 355 pieces on display. The majority of our gallery space is used to display the work that's the result of a juried competition open to every Minnesota artist. That show has 334 works that the jurors chose for display from a record 2,727 entries.
All of the works are unique. Maple Grove master watercolor artist Chris Frethheim made the grade again this year with her entry, Circle Game. Carl Johnson from Crystal was judged worthy with his entry, Swamp's Edge number 4.
The final piece that was in the State Fair was actually 2 pieces of art. I started one and put it aside, and I started another and I put it aside. I could never figure out how to finish either one of them. And one day I was out in the studio and then the light went on, and I went and got that littler section and I put that over there and I put it up there and it fit like a glove.
Ava Lambert from Maple Grove used acrylic on paper to create Rock Bed, which you would swear was a photograph or maybe even actual rocks arranged under glass.
We have a People's Choice going on as well during the fair. The last Sunday of the fair, voting closes, we tally them up, and we announce the winner on Labor Day, the last day of the fair.
So while you're at the State Fair, don't forget to stop in the Fine Arts Building. Look for artists from your city and vote for your favorite. For Weekend Showcase from the State Fair, Neil Persley, CCX News.
The The Federated Garden Clubs of Minnesota Floral Competition is always a big draw at the state fair as well. This year, more than 12 members of the Robbinsdale Diggers Garden Club participated in the event. And our reporter, Sonia Goins, has more.
Betty Beck is a busy gardener.
Well, I got hostas, I've got tubers, I've got roses.
The Robbinsdale resident has more than 25 items in this year's flower show competition.
I've got herbs, I've got annuals.
There are 28 garden clubs participating this year. Gardeners take the very best samples out of their yards and show them off here.
They are carefully choosing what horticulture they've raised this year, and they've cleaned it up and are very precise about how they stage it.
Judges are looking for a number of things: conformity and certain criteria for each specific plant or flower.
And that it's blemish-free, that it's a mature but not past maturity stage if it's a flower.
Besides horticulture, folks can compete in other categories, like floral design.
We have a lot of decorative items and corsages and hats.
There's also a photography category where people can take pictures of flowers or plants.
We aren't expert photography judges yet, but it's something that we're working on.
For some, competing in the floral event is a lot of hard work, but gardener Betty Beck doesn't see it that way at all.
It's just fun. And I see all the different creativity of a lot of the other people in the club.
Sonia Goins, CCX News.
It is a great time of year if you're a high school football fan. Most of the teams in our area kicked off their season on a crisp evening Thursday night, including Wayzata, which hosted a Blaine team that reached the state semifinals a year ago. Christian Vassar is a battering ram for Wayzata. The senior powers in here for a 5-yard touchdown and a 7-0 Trojans lead. 10 seconds left to play in the first half. Thomas Schmidt floats the perfect pass to Jacob Wildermuth, and the Trojans receiver hauls it in. It's 13-0 Wayzata at the half. Wayzata defense flies around all night. Jack Demro and Matt Kubowski get after the Blaine quarterback. Tyler Schuster forcing there an intentional grounding penalty. Malachi Jackson scampers in for a touchdown here to make it 19-0 Trojans. Fourth quarter, Blaine in Wayzata territory and going for it on fourth down. Marcus Culp, though, gets through for the sack. And then late in the fourth, Wayzata sophomore Drew Berkland gets the interception to preserve the shutout. Great play on both sides of the ball, and Wayzata wins at 19-0 over Blaine. Cooper finished 8-2 last season. The Hawks have a tougher schedule this fall and faced another team coming off a strong season as they hosted Waconia. Late in the first half, Waconia's Tim Stapleton breaks a tackle and gets in for his second touchdown of the second quarter, and it's 14-0 Wildcats. Cooper answers with a quick drive. Joe Russell steps up in the pocket and fires to Cornelius Wooten in the end zone. A 32-yard strike with 7 seconds left in the half makes it 14-6. Same score in the fourth quarter when Russell fires low to David Connors. He hauls it in for the TD, and Cooper is within 2. But the two-point conversion try fails, and Waconia holds off Cooper's rally to win a good battle, 14-12. In other games, Champlain Park won its opener 22-19 over East Ridge. Armstrong scored a big win at home, blanking Spring Lake Park 21-0. Maple Grove and St. Michael Albertville were tied at 6 in the fourth quarter before the Knights scored 21 unanswered points. Osseo lost at home against Cretin-Derham Hall 26-12. Also Thursday, Hopkins won at Apple Valley. Park Center lost to Iredale. Tuchino Grace loses by 3 to Lakeville South. And Brooklyn Center lost a close one at Humboldt. Breck scores a 43-6 win at Minneapolis South behind 4 Derek Turner touchdowns. And Providence Academy lost at St. Anthony. Labor Day weekend is a busy one on Minnesota lakes for fishing. Here's Terry Tuma with this week's CCX fishing tip.
Bottom bouncers are great tools to catch walleyes throughout the open water period, especially in rock-infested areas or snag-infested areas. And with bottom bouncers, you want to use the weight that's going to be just in contact with the bottom. You do have choices of using ultrasound or also your colored weights, if you will, and then using live bait rigs or spinner rigs, and then these spinner rigs are generally going to be anywhere up to 4 or 5 feet in length, sometimes shorter if you will, tie your own if you need to. And then the blades usually again 2 to 5, and the Colorado blade, the number 2 is more for a subtle approach, less vibration and flash of course, and the number 5 is the larger blade you're going to want to use for really more aggressive fish or dark stained water. And then trolling at speed that just to get these blades to turn, using leeches and crawlers. And then when you don't need to cast this out, you want to just drop it alongside the boat at a 45-degree angle, the line from the rod tip to the water. And then when that fish hits, you do not want to feed line. Someone mentioned to me, well, we feed line, we cannot get a good hook set. Don't ever feed line. Point the rod tip at the fish and then set the hook. If you feed line, the walleye is going to feel that extra weight. It'll reject the bait immediately. Great tools to catch summer walleye, but not only in the summer, all open water time frames and snag infested areas.
Thanks, Terry. That's all for sports. More news after this.